All right, welcome to the Amato Report. As you know, we've been covering the rise of anti-socialism in America, particularly, of course, specifically, I should say, within the Democratic Party. And how much have we seen segments of mainstream media support that whole concept? Recently, I just interviewed Alex Sawyer, the editor of the Washington Times, and she talked about how this democratic socialism may or may not affect the midterm elections. My next guest is the author of the award-winning The DNA of Democracy series. And recently there was an article about Democrats saying that Democratic Socialists want to abolish the Senate and the presidency. Is this accurate, or is this a fringe statement being made? Let's welcome back to this show Richard Lyons. Richard, good to have you with us. It's crazy to me that we're seeing democratic socialism rise. New York Times kind of like, oh, well, whatever, shrugging their shoulders. Where have you seen that that there are them socialists who want to abolish the Senate and the presidency?
Well, this comes from their own platform now, Rick. And the key for people to understand, I think, is that socialism was embedded in the Democrat Party with the presidency of Woodrow Wilson, he was an acolyte of the philosopher Frederick Hegel and ideal state theory. And Wilson famously said the Bolsheviks, and this is contemporaneous, the Bolsheviks in Russia are doing it wrong. They're establishing socialism through revolution, through the spilling of blood. In America, we can do it through evolution by incrementally taking power from individuals, localities, states, and bringing it into Washington, D.C., and doing it over time where we never have to even admit what we're doing. In fact, that's what they've done for 100 years. And famously during LBJ's, when he was doing the Great Society layout, which was really the redistribution of wealth on steroids, Tom Hayden, they will remember him as Jane Fonda's husband, and a councilman in California. He famously said, the more we say we're liberals and not socialists, we'll be in power. The first time we say we're socialist, they'll throw us out of power. And that has been how the Democrat Party has masqueraded itself for years. And now what we're seeing is they have got so far down the road to realizing socialism that they are now feeling capable of admitting it and saying it through their candidates. Hey, we are socialists. We're proud of it. And they want to not only, they want to deconstruct the Senate, throw it out, throw out the presidency, throw out, well, the Supreme Court to be appointed by Congress. The Congress would be the all-powerful branch of government. And what they're trying to institute is a Jacobin party. That's the party famously that during the French Revolution herded everybody they didn't like together in the Paris Square and guillotined them. That was the Jacobin response to the revolution in France. And
Well,
this is what these people are.
I hear stories that there's outside influence, China, Iran, perhaps Russia. Um, are they part of such a sophisticated strategy? How sophisticated? Maybe
Marxism, no, it's very apropos you say that, Rick, and question it. The socialist movement or Marxism began as an international movement. It was envisioned as being a movement that would topple all contrary governments and establish an international socialist government run by the people. Well, you can't, let's take Europe. You can't take the European Union and run it all by the people. To do so is you're just inflaming passions. But at the top, you will have a dictator and a few of his henchmen who will determine it's the old tyranny reset under the name socialism. Tyranny is one in a few people, one person usually, and their henchmen who are their elite. And they control the public, they inflame their passions. In this case, they would envision Congress voting on certain things and then become and run by a demagogue who would say this is what I would like to do. This is the will of the people. The Congress would express that will, and then they'd carry out policy. What we have is a constitutional republic with barriers and guardrails that keep our individual liberties protected. It is the opposite of what socialists envision.
When I think of democratic socialists in America today, the one name that comes right to the forefront of my mind is Mondami, the mayor of New York City,
Yeah,
which blows my mind because who would think a Marxist or a socialist would be the mayor of the financial capital of the world?
exactly.
My question to you is, do you believe that Mondami wants to abolish the Senate and the presidency?
Yeah, it's part of this is a movement now. Again, you have had the Democrat Party shifted greatly from the time of JFK.
Hmm.
When LBJ took over, he turned it socialist in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Then you had Clinton, who brought it back to the middle economically, right? With Newt Gingrich having, his foil in Congress. Then you had Obama and he lurched left again. And now they're beyond Obama now to the left.
Yeah.
Really, and that's remarkable because Obama was the socialist of his time. The problem is socialism is always advancing in America towards tyranny. We no longer have common ground with the Democrats. They don't believe in our Constitution. They don't believe in free enterprise. They don't believe in common law anymore. They have sanctuary states and cities where they exercise their own law, or they're promoting Sharia law, right? They don't even belong. They don't even believe in our common law anymore, which used to be common ground. They are using agencies to attack political opponents. That was never done by JFK's Democrat Party. So they are lurching way left now.
You know, I just, as I mentioned at the outset, I interviewed Alex Sawyer, who's a
Yeah.
political editor over at the Washington Times. I asked her what she thought the midterm elections meant for Democratic Socialists, and she gave a very, very, I thought, good answer that hadn't occurred to me. And I want to get your take on it. What she said
Yeah.
was, she says, look, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not going to make any predictions, but I will say this. Midterm elections tend to have a lower turnout. And because there's a lower turnout, those who are highly motivated, really into politics, and behind the issues are those who tend to vote on it during midterms. And that defines those who are in the Democratic Socialist movement. Uh,
That's really well put.
yeah.
Yeah, I think she's dead on. When you have when and these are deep blue areas of the urban areas of this country, which have been controlled by Democrats for 100 years. So yes, we'll see this springing up, but I think our challenge, Rick, and tell me if you agree, from the federal level, we have to strangle these blue cities and states as much as we can financially so that they literally have to live with the consequences of socialist policies.
Oh,
As
yeah.
long as we fund the socialist policies, as long as people in Idaho are funding the policies in Seattle, Washington,
Yeah.
the people in Washington won't really know what the cost of it is, right? It'll just be added to our federal budget and added to our deficit. They need to suffer from their own policies in those states. And then perhaps they'll start voting not with an automatic D, but start saying, well, wait a minute, this is costing a lot of money. Their policies are bankrupting our state and bankrupting our family. And that's that. And they're all high tax already, these states. And the only recourse they would have would be higher taxes.
Final question here, Richard. I don't know if you saw James Carville's recent quote during an interview.
Always amusing.
Always amusing. And for our viewers, Carville, I'll clean it up. He called Democratic Socialist, of course, James Carville, former Bill Clinton advisor, a Democratic strategist and advisor. He called
Yep.
Democratic socialists effing idiots, stupid idiots.
Well, that will tell you how far the present day party is from the party of Bill Clinton. That says it right there. And the problem, I think, Rick, is the center of gravity in that party has now moved so far left that there's a cliff, right? And either the whole country is going to go over the cliff, or the reasonable Democrats and the reasonable conservatives will throw this socialism off the cliff. We're at a Y in the road. It's very important right now.
And again, I agree. I agree. And I tell our
Yeah.
viewers in our newsletter and so forth, I'll say it again, get out and vote. Get out and
Yeah. It comprises half of the Constitution, our right to vote and how to vote.
all right.
Not how by party, but how by process.
Richard
And that's how
Lyons,
important.
author of the award-winning The DNA of Democracy series. I thank you for joining us on a critically timely, important topic.
I thank you for having me, Rick. Thanks.
Back with more after this.